the shadowed heart of a vast national wilderness reserve, where towering pines stretch endlessly toward a sky cloaked in the deepening hues of twilight, Ranger Mike embarks on a routine patrol along a winding dirt trail. The rhythmic crunch of his heavy, weathered boots against a thick carpet of fallen leaves and brittle twigs resonates through the dense forest, a sound that has become a familiar cadence in his years of solitude among these woods. As evening descends, the sunlight wanes, its golden rays fracturing into long, skeletal shadows that twist and dance between the ancient trees, their gnarled branches weaving a dense canopy that filters the light into a dim, otherworldly glow. The air is rich with the earthy scent of moss, damp pine needles, and the faint musk of decaying wood, a familiar embrace that suddenly feels laden with an unspoken tension, as if the forest itself is holding its breath. This patrol, like countless others, has unfolded with the quiet predictability of routine, until it doesn't. Amid the stillness, Mike's keen, trained eye catches an unnatural rupture in the natural order. An unconscious hiker sprawled in a crumpled heap beside the trail. The man's face is ashen, streaked with rivulets of sweat that glisten faintly in the fading light, a deep, jagged gash at his temple oozing dark blood onto the forest floor, the crimson stark against the muted browns and greens. The scene is a jarring intrusion into the wilderness's serene rhythm, a discordant note that sends a shiver through Mike's spine. The forest seems to tighten around him, its towering sentinels watching with unseen eyes, their silence a palpable presence as he approaches, his breath catching in the cool air. Kneeling beside the stranger, Mike's voice slices through the oppressive silence. "Hey, bud, can you hear me?" A call infused with a blend of authority, honed by experience, and a tender concern born of instinct. Yet it meets with no response, the words dissolving into the void. The hiker's features are oddly unremarkable, a blur of average lines, hollow cheeks, a nondescript jawline, eyes sunken beneath shadowed brows that defy memory, as if his face has been deliberately crafted to slip from recollection, a phantom etched in the mind's periphery. Mike's gaze sweeps the surroundings with meticulous care, searching for any thread of context. No serpentine blood trails snake through the underbrush. No branches are snapped or trampled to suggest a violent fall or struggle. No disturbed earth to hint at a predator's passing. Only the hiker lies there, motionless, a solitary enigma cradled by the earth, his chest rising and falling with shallow, irregular breaths. Unease prickles Mike's skin, a visceral reaction honed by years of navigating the wild's unpredictable heart. As he gently shakes the man's shoulder, his gloved fingers brushing against the damp fabric of the hiker's jacket. Still, there's no twitch, no flicker of life, only the faint rustle of leaves stirred by the breeze. "Looks like we're going to have to move you," he mutters. The words more a self-reassurance to anchor his rising anxiety than a message for any listener. His breath visible in the cooling air, curling like smoke in the dim light. Reaching for his radio clipped to his belt, he presses the side button, its double beep signaling a deliberate isolation from the ranger station miles away, buried deep within the dense woodland where signal falters like a dying pulse. Ranger Mike calling Ranger Station. "Comin' over." The silence that follows is thick, a suffocating void that gnaws at his resolve, amplifying the rustle of leaves and the distant drip of water from a hidden spring. A second attempt yields the same hollow quiet until a faint, static-laden crackle pierces the stillness. His supervisor's voice, cautious and distant, filtered through layers of interference. "Just be careful with his neck." The connection wavers, a fragile lifeline stretched thin by the forest's ancient interference, leaving Mike alone with his charge and the growing weight of an unknown menace pressing against his chest. With a practiced hand steadied by years of emergency response, Mike retrieves his first aid kit from the depths of his rugged backpack, the rustle of nylon fabric a stark contrast to the forest's muted stillness, the zipper's rasp echoing like a whisper in the gloom. He applies pressure to a gash on the hiker's leg with a sterile bandage, the white cloth quickly soaking through with a vivid red that seeps into the earth, then wraps another around the head wound, his fingers trembling slightly despite the iron control he imposes, the sticky warmth of blood seeping through his gloves. The hiker stirs, a low, guttural groan escaping his lips as consciousness begins to seep back into his fractured mind. the sound reverberating faintly off the surrounding trees. His eyelids flutter like tattered curtains drawn by invisible hands, revealing bleary eyes that struggle to focus, pupils dilated against the dim light, a glaze of confusion clouding their depths. "What happened?" he mumbles, his voice a fragile, rasping thread in the vast silence, each syllable trembling with disorientation. "I'm Ranger Mike," comes the steady reply, a tone firm yet infused with a calming reassurance drawn from deep within. "You're going to be okay. Just relax." Eli's attempt to rise is met with a gentle but unyielding pushback, Mike's hand pressing firmly against the hiker's chest, the fabric of his jacket rough beneath his palm. As he applies a fresh gauze pad with the other, the rustle of medical tape a soft counterpoint to the forest's hush. The hiker's confusion is palpable, a fog that clings to his every movement as he murmurs, "The last thing I recall is getting out of my car at the parking lot." His words trailing off into a sigh, his gaze drifting to take in the towering trees and shadowed trail for the first time, their silhouettes looming like silent guardians. The forest seems to grow larger now, its presence a mute witness to the unfolding drama. As Mike offers water from his dented canteen, the metal cool against his fingers. Eli drinks slowly at first, tentative sips that test his parched throat. Then with desperate, gulping urgency, the liquid reviving a fragile clarity to his eyes. Though the woods remain unnaturally quiet, the evening chorus of birds and animals extinguished as if snuffed out by an unseen hand, leaving only the echo of their footsteps like a metronome ticking against an infinite void. Supporting Eli's weight, Mike navigates the twisting, root-laced trail, the darkness thickening with each deliberate, cautious step, the ranger's flashlight casting a narrow beam that barely pierces the gloom. The forest presses in, its air heavy with the scent of resin and damp earth, and Mike feels an intangible gaze upon him, a pressure behind the ancient sentinels of pine whose branches sway faintly as if in silent judgment, their needles whispering secrets in the breeze. The journey to the ranger station, a rustic haven of weathered wood and cluttered maps, feels interminable, the structure emerging like a fragile beacon from the encroaching night, its warm glow a stark contrast to the cold shadows. Inside, the station's interior unfolds as a compact chaos of tools and surveillance equipment. Radios humming softly at various points, their static a low undercurrent, maps tacked to walls or spread across tables detailing every hidden nook of their territory, the paper edges curling with age. Sarah, her hair tied back in a practical knot that reveals the strain in her features, and Lucas, his eyes fixed on a cluster of monitor feeds flickering with grainy forest images, greet Mike with focused concern etched into their lines. Mike lowers Eli into a worn cushioned chair near a modest wooden table, its surface scarred by years of use, the hiker blinking repeatedly against the harsh artificial light that floods the room, a stark, almost alien contrast to the twilight outside. "Thanks, I owe you my life," Eli says, his voice flat and devoid of emotion, a monotone that sends an involuntary shiver down Mike's spine, the words hanging in the air like a hollow echo. As Sarah inspects Eli with a practiced eye, her fingers probing gently for visible trauma, the faint scent of antiseptic rising from her kit, and Lucas secures the doors with a methodical click that reverberates through the wooden walls. The team gathers for a meal. Roast beef, mashed potatoes, carrots, and peas steaming on chipped plates. The odors of cooked vegetables and seasoned meat mingle with the woodland scent that usually pervades the space, a comforting aroma now tinged with unease. Yet Eli's mechanical movements, meticulously placing a cloth napkin on his lap with precise folds, wielding a knife and fork like delicate surgical tools, deepen the growing disquiet. He recounts tales of solo hikes across scorching deserts and jagged mountains, encounters with snarling wild animals, and near-death escapes from raging storms and thundering avalanches. Each story delivered in a monotone devoid of passion or inflection, as if recited from a memorized script rather than drawn from lived experience, the words falling like stones into a still pond. His eyes fixate on the salt shaker or water pitcher, lingering with an unnatural intensity, avoiding direct contact with any of them, a deliberate and disconcerting habit that amplifies the sense of something profoundly wrong, a dissonance that hums beneath the surface of his presence. The meal ends in a tense, suffocating silence, the room growing colder despite the wood-burning stove's heat crackling in the corner, its flames casting flickering shadows that dance across the walls like specters. Sarah's attempt to lighten the mood with a question about wildlife, "Did you see any bears out there?" elicits a curt, mechanical nod from Eli, his head dipping with a stiffness that seems almost rehearsed, the conversation dying as quickly as it began, leaving a void filled only by the soft clink of utensils against plates and the distant crackle of the fire. Cleanup offers a brief respite, Sarah gathering dishes with soft, deliberate steps that muffle against the wooden floor, her movements a quiet ritual, Lucas retreating to the radio corner where the hum of static fills the air, Mike straightening chairs and wiping the table with a cloth that smells faintly of pine cleaner. Yet his thoughts churn like a storm gathering strength. Eli's robotic demeanor, his detached speech devoid of human warmth, the inexplicable scar glimpsed beneath the bandage like a brand of some unknown origin. All gnaw at him, a puzzle with pieces that refuse to fit. Routine checks of windows and locks carry a heightened vigilance, his fingers tracing the cold metal frames, an undercurrent of dread trailing him to the sleeping quarters where the wooden ceiling looms overhead, shadows dancing from foliage swaying in the night breeze. At 2:17 a.m., a faint scraping noise pierces the night, a sound so subtle it might have been missed, rousing Mike from a restless sleep where dreams dissolve into fragments of unease. The room is dark, the single lamp left off to encourage sleep that stubbornly refuses to come, shadows playing across the wooden ceiling like spectral fingers, his breath shallow as he strains to listen, the rhythmic snoring of Lucas a distant counterpoint. His body rigid with an instinct honed by millennia of survival. He peers through the window blinds, the slats parting to reveal only the silent forest, its depths swallowed by night, yet the unease lingers, a shadow refusing to lift, embedding itself in his bones like a cold, unyielding weight. Dawn breaks with a renewed purpose, the sunlight filtering through the trees in golden shafts that pierce the morning mist, as Mike steps outside, armed with a flashlight and sidearm, the cool morning air a sharp, invigorating contrast to the night's lingering tension. The bird songs rise in a tentative chorus, their melodies carrying a warning note, a subtle discord beneath the usual harmony. As he retraces the trail where Eli was found, the earth still soft beneath his boots. A green backpack emerges from the ferns, its faded material weathered by time and frayed seems hinting at years of rugged use, the fabric catching on thorns as he pulls it free. Inside, a flashlight with fresh batteries that click into place with a satisfying snap, a half-filled water bottle that sloshes faintly, granola bars still in their crinkling wrappers, extra socks rolled into tight balls, and a folded map reveal a trove of clues that pulse with mystery. The map, unfolded on the forest floor with care, its creases worn from handling, displays trails unfamiliar to Mike despite a decade patrolling these woods, marked with odd, cryptic symbols, geometric shapes and jagged lines, unrecognizable to any standard park legend, their meaning lost to time. A photograph, encased in a protective plastic sleeve that crackles as he extracts it, depicts a figure from a bygone era, clothing styles long obsolete, a high-collared coat and wide-brimmed hat, features mismatched with Eli's, the image faded yet haunting, its presence a riddle that deepens the enigma. Suspicion tightens like a vice around Mike's chest as he confronts Eli, the hiker standing with a taut jawline and evasive flicker in his eyes, denying knowledge of the pack with a defensive tone that borders on hostility, his voice rising slightly as if to mask a lie. The forest holds its secrets close, its depths a labyrinth of shadows, and Mike tails him with a predator's caution, noting his obsessive watch over Sarah and Lucas, his movements deliberate and strange, a fluid grace beneath a human facade that suggests something otherworldly. In the guest room, a sticky, luminescent substance on Eli's pillow, amber-tinted and viscous under the flashlight's beam, its glow casting eerie reflections on the walls, mirrors a sample found near a ravaged deer carcass, its entrails spilled in a grotesque tableau, flies swarming in a buzzing cloud that fills the air with a sickly hum. The forest silence grows deafening, a muted bird song amplifying the tension, the absence of life a stark contrast to the morning's promise. As Mike returns to find Sarah and Lucas absent, the station eerily still, curtains tousled by an open window that admits a cold draft. Eli's confrontation on the trail, his cold glare piercing through the dim light, squared shoulders radiating aggression, and chilling warning. "You have no idea what you're dealing with," escalates the stakes, his transformation a stark shift from the grateful hiker, his voice laced with an authority that chills the blood. Back inside, tension fractures like glass under pressure as Sarah and Lucas deflect Mike's questions, their behavior mirroring Eli's oddity, their hushed whispers and guarded stances fueling a suspicion that coils tight in his gut, their eyes darting with a shared, unspoken knowledge. A theory emerges, wild yet inescapable. What if Eli isn't human? The team devises a trap with a desperate resolve, using the backpack as bait placed with precision near the door, ropes coiled like serpents, netting draped with care, and tranquilizer darts loaded into a sleek metal gun. The air charged with a palpable electricity as they prepare for the unknown. As Eli steps into the trap, the net springs with a loud snap that echoes through the station, but his form contorts in a grotesque ballet, revealing an entity with elongated limbs that twist unnaturally and glowing eyes that pierce the dim light, their luminescence casting an otherworldly sheen. Sarah's taser crackles with electricity, Lucas's dart whistles through the air, and Mike's fire extinguisher roars with a snowy blast. Yet these efforts fail to subdue it as it shifts shapes, mimicking Lucas with a distorted grin, then Mike with a sneer. Its voices eerily precise yet warped, a cacophony of echoes that reverberate off the walls. A flare gun ignites the room in hellish light, its red glow melting the creature's false skin in bubbling rivulets. But it breaks free with a surge of strength, leaping through a window in a shower of shattering glass that rains down like crystalline tears. The team, adrenaline surging through their veins, plans to lure it back to the forest, their breaths ragged as they gather ropes and hooks. On the trail, broken branches and snapped saplings mark its path like a trail of destruction, leading to a cliff-edge standoff where the ground trembles beneath their feet. With a sturdy branch gripped like a lifeline, Mike counters its lunges, the wood splintering with each blow, finally shoving it into the abyss with a roar of desperation. The forest resumes its serene facade, the morning light filtering through the canopy, but the lingering sense of watchfulness hints at future terrors, a whisper in the wind that refuses to fade. Back at the station, Sarah and Lucas tend to Mike's wounds, disinfectant stinging like fire, bandages securing with a tight embrace. Relief tempered by a regret that weighs heavy in their silence as they fabricate an incident report about animal tracks, burying the truth beneath a veneer of normalcy that feels like a lie etched into their souls. The forest's beauty masks its menace, a lesson carved deep into their psyches, its serene facade a mask for the darkness beneath. As Mike patrols again, the wilderness whispers of unseen threats, a vigilance now eternal, the trees standing as silent sentinels to a truth too vast to comprehend, their branches swaying in a rhythm that echoes with the memory of that night. Could you face the isolation and eerie unknowns of these woods? Or would the shadows drive you to flee? Reflect on whether this tale suits your taste for dark, immersive horror.